everyone, my name is Sheila and welcome to Variety Varnish, and today we're going to talk about my picks for the 2019 Zoya Barefoot collection. This is their spring and summer release, and I want to compare my picks to other polishes in my collection that may be similar or that may be sort of dupes. Now, I normally don't buy a whole collection, especially if the collection is really big, such as this one. And to be honest, a lot of those colors didn't really sort of speak to me. And so honestly, I only have 3 polishes for you today. And these are Walker, which is actually what I'm wearing on my nails today. It's a beautiful blue. And of course, B, and that's a yellow. And this was actually the polish that I was most excited about. It's absolutely beautiful. And this is Keira, which this color always sort of speaks to me, and so I had to pick this up. So yeah, I'm going to show you comparisons now for these 3 colors. So here's the original Pacific Blue from Sally Hansen Xtreme Wear compared to Zoya's Walker, and in the bottle it definitely is a little bit more purple, maybe a little bit hard to see in the camera. And here is KL Polish's Porter Miami. This one is definitely closest to Walker in the bottle. And this is H&M's Lapis Lazuli, and this one is definitely a bit of a darker blue than Walker, a little bit more like a primary crayon colored blue compared to Walker. And then we're going to have Butler Please from Essie, and this one is definitely quite different from Walker. This is probably the most different. It's a lot more purple based than Walker ever will be. So these are my comparisons for Walker. So let's go ahead with the swatches. I'm going to swatch Walker on number 6, and as you can see, the formula is a little bit on the thin side. This has a lot of white in it. I think this is the polish that actually has the most amount of white in this set, and it's actually really beautiful. And so that is Walker swatched on this swatch wheel. So now we're going to go ahead and swatch Pacific Blue, the original formula, on number 5. And already you can kind of see that this is going to turn out darker. I don't remember this formula to be so thin, but I guess it is. I mean, it's just so funny. Hindsight is really 2020. But yeah, so as you can see now, Walker is a lot brighter compared to Pacific Blue. So now I'm going to swatch KL Polish's Porter Miami on number 4, just because they've always said that this is a close dupe to Sally Hansen's Pacific Blue, and it's close, but it's no dice. Pacific Blue is, again, a lot more purple than this color. I know it's the first coat, and we're going to do 2 coats, but not a dupe to Sally Hansen, and definitely not at all similar to Walker. And so then now we are going to swatch Lazuli from H&M, and actually this is probably the closest in tone to Walker, except that it is a lot darker and it is a lot richer a blue than Walker. Among the 4 that we just swatched, it seems like KL Polish's Porter Miami and H&M's Lapis Lazuli are the closest dupes to each other. Walker is a very, very different blue, and of course Sally Hansen Pacific Blue cannot be duped for some reason or the other. So now, last but not the least, we are going to swatch Essie's Butler Please at number 8. And I would probably say this is probably the absolute closest to Sally Hansen's Pacific Blue among all 5 of these polishes. It's just a tad bit darker and kind of like a tad bit more like richer, in a sense that it's looking more smooth or translucent, kind of really that beautiful, it's cream, but it has like a little bit of a jelly translucency to it. But like I said, as you can see, Walker is a very different blue. So we're going to do a second coat on these babies just so we can really achieve opacity as much as we can and we can see the difference. And so I'm going to do Walker again on number 6, and now you can really see its beauty. There's a lot of white in it. It's very unique to my collection, and I'm so happy that I picked this up. I'm actually even going to go out on a limb and say that I think this is probably more beautiful than Sally Hansen's Pacific Blue. As you can see here, I mean, Pacific Blue is beautiful, but it's definitely a little bit darker, a little bit more kind of like a primary blue. It doesn't have that kind of unique nuance that Walker has. And so, yeah, I'm so happy to have Walker, even though it's not exactly a Pacific Blue dupe. So now we're going to do a second coat on Porter Miami from KL Polish. Also beautiful, but very different from the first two. Very, very different from Walker, like not at all the same. And it's close to Pacific Blue, but again, like I said, no dyes. It's quite different. It's a little bit less darker, a little bit less purple. So now we're going to do a second coat on H&M's Lapis Lazuli. And as you can see next to Walker there, number 6, also very different, much darker. It's actually a lot closer to number 4, which is KL Polish's Porter Miami. It's just a tad bit darker. And lastly, we're going to do a second coat on Essie's Butler, Please. Again, very, very different from number 6, which is Walker. And it's actually closest to number 5, which is Sally Hansen's Pacific Blue. This one is just a little bit richer, a little bit darker, a little bit more purple. So these are the 5 blues that we have today, all very different. Guys, if you haven't picked up Walker, pick it up. It's beautiful. It's unique. There's nothing like it, really. So now we're going to move on to B, which I see as a darker warm tone pastel yellow, and you'll see what I mean when we do the comparisons. This is LVX's Lemondrop, and this is very much significantly lighter than Zoya's B, even though it has the same sort of tone, sort of. And this is a very popular yellow, Revlon's Buttercup. This is also much lighter from the bottle. Um, Definitely very different. All 3 are very different so far. And then this is KL Polish's Gemini, which is the darkest and the richest among all these 4. So again, very happy to have Zoya's be in my collection because I don't have anything like it. I thought I did. Same color family, but not exact dupes of it in my collection. So now we're going to move on to the swatches. Again, I'm going to swatch Zoya's B right in the middle of this wheel, which is number 6. And as you can see, very beautiful formula, really rich yellow. And that's, I think, what I mean when I said dark, because it's pastel, but it has a lot of like sort of a brown undertone in it, or like a gold undertone maybe. And that's why I think it's very appropriately named B. Beautiful yellow on number 6. Now I'm going to swatch LVX's Lemondrop on number 5, and you can see the formula is much thinner and it's also much lighter than B, a little bit less rich, a little bit more pastel. Now we're going to swatch Revlon's Buttercup on number 7. And this is similar to Zoya's B in a sense that it has that sort of golden, sort of like brownish undertone in it. However, Zoya's B is definitely a lot darker. So it appears more golden compared to Revlon Buttercup, which is more pastel yellow. And lastly, I'm going to swatch KL Polish's Gemini on number 8, and you can already see the formula is so much thicker. The color is a lot darker. It still has that golden, sort of brownish undertone. I think a little bit more gold because this definitely appears a lot more sunshiny, if that makes any sense, compared to Zoya's B. Zoya's B is still kind of like pastel. That's what I said, like a little bit of a darker pastel, whereas Gemini, I don't even know if you can really call Gemini a pastel anymore. So now we're going to do comparisons of Zoya's Keira, which is a taupey, shimmery shade. And I'm going to bring in Cafe Disco from KL Polish. And as you can see, there's definitely glitter in Cafe Disco versus a very, subtle shimmer in Keira. I think it's also a little bit cooler than Keira. And then now I'm going to bring in Essie's Mochacino, which is even more cooler than Zoya's Keira. There's also glitter in it. It's definitely a lot more similar to Cafe Disco. Now, newbie mistake, I did get a fourth polish to compare it with, but I wasn't able to do a bottle comparison, and that is Essie's Teacup half full. And so I'm sorry about that. I don't have a bottle comparison, but I will do a swatch later. So let's get to the swatches. As usual, I will swatch Zoya's Keira right at the middle of this wheel, number 6. And as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's this beautiful, subtle sort of gold or coppery shimmer that's really, making it stand out. It's absolutely beautiful. Happy to have it in my collection. So now I'm going to swatch KL Polish's Cafe Disco on number 5, and as you can see, the formula is a little bit thinner and the glitter is more pronounced. It's also going to be a little bit cooler, I believe, but now it's looking like they can be very similar in tone, so it might be a little bit warm tone than I expected. So then now I'm going to swatch Essie's Mochacino on number 7, and now this is definitely a little bit more cool toned than either of these two. But I think now that everything's settled, you can definitely see that Keira is the warmest toned among all 3 of these. And it also has the most subtle shimmer. These two, number 5 and number 7, are definitely more glittery than shimmery. So now here's the mistake I made. Number 8 is Essie's Teacup half full. And I actually pulled it out at first to be a part of this comparison, but then I said, you know what? It's too different. I'm not gonna include it. But then after all said and done, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna swatch it. I'm just gonna swatch it and see. And lo and behold, it's very similar to Keira. It's similar in a sense that it has that same shimmer that makes it look very much like Keira. I mean, literally, this polish is Keira, except that it is a little bit more red, a little bit warmer, a little bit darker. So now I'm like kicking myself in the shin because I didn't include it in the initial comparison. So yeah, those are my picks from the 2019 Zoya Barefoot collection and the comparisons that I had for them. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I will be posting these comparisons at my Instagram account at Variety Varnish, so I hope you follow me there. And as always, thank you so much for being here to chat with me about anything and everything nail polish. And if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. Hit the bell button so you can get notified every time I post new content. Again, I hope everyone's having a great week. Have a good day. Bye.